Understanding why real estate transactions fail. In the previous sections, we examined the legal methods of contract discharge, including cancellation, rescission, assignment, novation, and other mechanisms that allow parties to terminate or modify contractual obligations. While these legal tools provide structure for managing contracts, real estate transactions sometimes fail because the parties misunderstand how or when these methods should be used. Transaction breakdowns are a common part of real estate practice. Not every signed contract results in a successful closing. Financing problems, inspection disputes, title issues, or communication failures between the parties can cause a transaction to collapse before completion. For real estate professionals, understanding how and why transactions fail is an important part of risk management and professional responsibility. Brokers and licensees must ensure that contract termination procedures are handled properly, documented accurately, and communicated clearly to avoid disputes or regulatory violations. Failed transactions in real estate. A failed transaction occurs when a real estate contract does not reach closing and the transfer of ownership never occurs. This can happen for many reasons, some of which are anticipated in the contract through contingency provisions. Common reasons transactions fail include: the buyer is unable to obtain financing. The property inspection reveals major defects that the parties cannot resolve. The appraisal value is lower than the purchase price. Title issues prevent the seller from transferring clear ownership. One party fails to meet a contractual deadline. Many real estate contracts include contingencies designed to address these potential problems. When a contingency is properly exercised, the contract may be terminated without either party being considered in breach. However, when parties misunderstand their contractual rights or attempt to terminate a contract improperly, disputes may arise regarding whether the termination was legally valid. Improper contract termination. Improper contract termination occurs when a party attempts to cancel a contract without following the procedures outlined in the agreement. Real estate contracts typically include specific provisions describing how and when termination may occur. For example, a buyer may have a contractual right to cancel the agreement during the inspection period if defects are discovered. If the buyer fails to deliver written notice of cancellation within the specified time frame, the buyer may lose the right to terminate the contract based on inspection issues. Improper termination can also occur when one party simply decides to withdraw from the transaction without a contractual or legal basis. In such situations, the withdrawing party may be considered in breach of contract, which can expose them to legal remedies such as damages or loss of earnest money. Because contract termination procedures are strictly defined, real estate professionals must ensure that clients understand the timing and documentation requirements involved in exercising cancellation rights. Misuse of cancellation rights. Cancellation rights are designed to provide protection when legitimate issues arise during a transaction. However, problems occur when these rights are misused or exercised improperly. For example, a buyer may attempt to cancel a contract during the inspection period for reasons unrelated to property condition, such as discovering a different property they prefer. Depending on the language of the contract, this type of cancellation may or may not be permitted. Similarly, a seller may attempt to cancel a contract after receiving a higher offer from another buyer. Unless the contract specifically allows for such termination, the seller may be violating the agreement by attempting to withdraw from the transaction. Misuse of cancellation rights often leads to disputes over earnest money deposits, which may be held in escrow until the parties reach an agreement regarding the proper distribution of the funds. Proper documentation and communication are essential in resolving these disputes. Broker supervision and documentation requirements. Real estate brokers have a legal responsibility to supervise the activities of the licensees working under their authority. Proper supervision helps ensure that contracts are handled correctly and that transactions comply with professional standards. In Arizona, broker supervision requirements are established under AAC R4 28 11 and 03, which requires designated brokers to maintain a system for monitoring the real estate activities of licensees. This supervision includes reviewing transaction files, ensuring proper documentation, and verifying that licensees follow brokerage policies and procedures. Transaction documentation is a critical component of broker supervision. Contracts, amendments, cancellation notices, and other transaction records must be properly maintained to demonstrate compliance with regulatory requirements. Accurate record keeping also protects consumers by providing a clear record of the actions taken during the transaction. When disputes arise, properly maintained documentation can help determine what occurred and whether the parties followed the terms of the agreement. Online discussion. 1. Question: Why do real estate transactions sometimes fail even when a contract has been signed? Answer: transactions may fail because of financing problems, inspection issues, appraisal discrepancies, title defects, or failure to meet contractual deadlines. These challenges may prevent the parties from completing the transaction as originally planned. 2. Question: what problems can arise if a party attempts to cancel a contract without following the procedures outlined in the agreement? Answer: improper termination may result in a breach of contract. The party attempting to cancel the agreement may be liable for damages or may lose their earnest money deposit if they fail to follow the contractual termination procedures. 3. Question: why is broker supervision important in managing real estate transactions? Answer: broker supervision ensures that licensees follow professional standards, properly document transactions, and comply with real estate regulations. This oversight helps prevent errors and protects both consumers and the brokerage.